Good afternoon. Once again, this is our topic, Talking Head. The topic for today is epilepsy. I just want to talk about this topic because in Nigeria, Africa, I've seen in many instances whereby someone will suffer epilepsy attack, and instead of people to help, people will just move away, and they'll be looking at that person from the distance. I could remember there was a day, maybe election period in Nigeria. There were a lot of people in this particular field around the Ekiti area, and this guy just fed and boom, boom. I was just jumping, just the attack generally. Everybody just stay off. He sustained injury, blood everywhere, and he stood up after some minutes. Everybody was just looking at him. He just brushed himself and he just walked away. Can you just imagine when such thing happen? You just stand up and you see thousands of faces looking at you, and none of them is just saying, "Oh, well, sorry," and just come to your head. All they were doing is looking. You can just imagine the kind of intimidation. You can just imagine kind of humiliation, stigma, or name it, that such person will experience in such circumstances. What is epilepsy? Epilepsy is a chronic disease that causes unprovoked, recurrent seizures. And what is a seizure? A seizure is a sudden rush of electrical activity in the brain. I've sent some pictures on Facebook. It's just our body, the whole body contains electrical work. It's just like in our house, when there is electrical work in our house to give us light. The same way we have electrical systems in our body that wire our body from the legs to the brain. And this is called the nervous system. And the wires, in this case, they are the neurons that connect the body together, and the brain is the center, the control center of this. Just like the brain is just like the transformer where they derive their power from, and the epilepsy is just like an electrical surge that we experience at our home, like in Nigeria when NEPA brings light. Sometimes the light is just overactive, and it just spark in a way, and this is just the only way I can explain the epilepsy is an overactive electrical activity in the brain. And all the medications that are available to treat epilepsy, they are targeted towards reducing the surge in the electrical activity, just slowing it down. There is no medication that can cure epilepsy, but there are so many medications that help to slow the activity of the electrical work down, thereby improving the quality of life of the sufferer. Very difficult to diagnose in a way, because a doctor will not diagnose epilepsy based on the fact that someone suffered epilepsy once. You have to suffer epilepsy recurrently, that is repeatedly, for a doctor to diagnose you as having epilepsy, because there could be a one-off, due to certain situation, maybe drugs, certain medication you've taken, trauma, just things that just happen in life, and that may not be actually epilepsy. It might just be one-off that just happened once, and it may not happen again. So therefore, you cannot just suffer an attack once, and the doctor just say, okay, now you are epileptic. So it doesn't happen that way, But there are several reasons that might make someone prone to attack, that like having seizures. That one of them, that if the person have a high fever, high body temperature, or that is uncontrollable, above the normal body temperature of about 38 degrees centigrade and above, so that can prone someone to have seizure, epileptic seizure. Another one is head trauma. Let's say you hit the head in an accident, something very hard, suddenly blunt object hit the head in a way. So the person can start suffering or having an epileptic seizure. And a very low blood sugar level. If the blood sugar is quite low in the body, that could prone someone as well to have a seizure, and even though alcohol withdrawal. When somebody have taken alcohol for some time, and then that alcohol has entered to the body is used to heat now, and it just stops suddenly taking that alcohol. So that can prone someone to epileptic seizure as a part of withdrawal syndrome. There are about 65 million people that suffer epilepsy, population of people that suffer epilepsy in the world. Just like 1% of the population of the whole world. You can just imagine how high that will be. And the type of epilepsy that someone might suffer depends on the area of the brain where the epilepsy happened. There are various types of epilepsy which I will not just be going into because it will be too technical for some of our people to understand. But all I just want you to know is that epilepsy is not just one event; it's a collective. It's a collection of events, a collection of seizures that happened to someone when there is such in the electrical activity in the brain, and there could be there are many of them, and in different forms, depending on the part of the brain that it happened, And what I will talk about next is that the things that can trigger epileptic seizure, I've mentioned some of them, and one of them again is the lack of sleep. If someone does not sleep very well, when you're supposed to be sleeping, you are working. You don't sleep at night, or you do a lot of night job, you deprive your body of sleep, that can prone someone to a seizure, but that might not even be epileptic. That will not be epileptic, but someone could have seizure, that kind of situation, And again, illness or fever, which I've mentioned already, stress, I've mentioned that, bright light, flashing lights or patterns, like in the club where we have this light that is proper, that is flashing all over the place. So if someone is liable, if someone has got this epileptic tendency in them already, so this will help to trigger it off. Light, caffeine, alcohol, or specific food ingredient that you might even eat. Even those skipping meals, let's say someone is not even eating properly or overreacting to a situation. So all these situations can precipitate. So how do you help someone that is having epileptic fit? So if someone just have epileptic fit where you are, the next thing is not to run away, So the first thing you need to do is to clear the area to make sure that the victim does not hit the head on any object, any sharp object or anything that can cause injury. You remove them from the environment. And the second one is that you try to put a soft pillow at the back of the head of the sufferer. You raise the head, you put the pillow at the back of the head. In some cases, maybe when the victim was even falling down uncontrollably, maybe the victim hit the head on something, hard object or whatever. So when you put the pillow there, you have to reduce the effect or the fall and actually make them feel more comfortable. And again, is that anybody that is feeling epileptic and they have been jerking movement all over the place repeatedly, please do not press them down. Do not hold them down. Leave them, let them go through that process. Because holding them down will not change anything. That process is still to be completed. It will only complicate issues. It can even stop them from breathing very well. It can block the airways. So when somebody is having epileptic fit and they're jacking repeatedly or violently, just leave them. They're on the floor already, they cannot fall further. So you leave them on that floor. And again, something very, very important, do not put anything into their mouth. Do not give them anything to drink. Do not give them anything to eat. Just leave them until they come back themselves. But one thing that you need to do is you need to check the time it started. And we check the time it started and we check the time it ends. So you'll be able to tell paramedics, or doctors or nurses or anybody that come around, so your observation. So that will help in the treatment of this condition. Even though in hospital I have a lot of patients that I treat myself that have got epilepsy, that are suffering from epilepsy, and for me it's nothing to me because it's what I see every day, and I've done a lot to help my patient check the time, and if it's going beyond the normal time, there is a medication, diazepam, which is Valium in Africa, and this one is a long one that you insert into the anus of the victim. You just insert it into the anus of the victim, and it goes in directly into the bloodstream. That is if it's going beyond 10 minutes, and you don't know, this could cause brain damage, and if it's not controlled, that's why you have to take certain measure to deal with it. So the one of the major things that could help a sufferer of epilepsy is to discover what are the triggers, what are the things that trigger this epilepsy. That means to say you have to keep a journal. It's very good to keep a journal. So in that journal, you just look at it. The things that you need to take notes are the day and the time that seizure happened. Then what sort of activities were you involved in when that seizure takes place? Were you jogging? Were you dancing? Were you arguing? Were you crying? Or were you laughing? Or were you running? When it happened, you have to take note so that you'll be able to keep a journal and you'll be able to help yourself so that you can avoid those things that you do that lead to you having a epileptic fit. So was there anything that was happening around you then? No? Anything that's happening around you? A light flashing around you? Or a very big noise somewhere? Wind that is just blowing? What happened around that particular time that you have this issue? So all these things have to go into your journal. That is a small diary that you keep, that you write this in there. That will help you to improve your quality of life and to reduce the frequency of seizure. Then is there any unusual sights, smell, or sound? Maybe smell of, I don't know, allergies, maybe burning soap, alcohol, or anything around that you can just remember that happened just before you have this epileptic fit. Any smell you perceive, or any unusual odor, or anything that you see, or any unusual stressor. You understand? So, are you eating at that time, or how long have you been eating before that happened? So the reason why I said that, why I said is that this might even be due to the food you are eating. So that ingredient, that constituent of the food that you are eating, might just be one of the things that trigger this epileptic fit. That is why that's one of the reasons why you have to keep record of what you do before the fit happened, or your level of fatigue and how well you sleep before the epilepsy attack. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind. And is epilepsy hereditary? Is it hereditary? Can you inherit it from your parents? Yes. So there's some research that have taken place in the past that confirmed that hereditary, that epilepsy could be hereditary. That is, if one of your parents has got epilepsy, so there's every likelihood that one of the children or more may be prone to such a epileptic attack as well. So what are the causes of epilepsy? What are the things that could cause someone to start having epilepsy? Possible causes of epilepsy could include a traumatic brain injury, accident, or like I said in earlier on, somebody got hit in the brain, on the head with a very big or blunt object, scarring on the brain after a brain injury. That is something like a post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, serious illness or very high fever. All these things could prone people to have epilepsy. Stroke, stroke is even the leading cause of epilepsy. People that have stroke are quite prone to epilepsy. Especially people that are over 35 years of age. And the other vascular disease like high blood pressure and all this, can prone someone to have epilepsy. There's lack of oxygen to the brain as well. There are a lot of things that can cut oxygen to the brain. A lot of things like I mentioned in my previous videos, like low level of oxygen in the blood, low level of hemoglobin. If the level of hemoglobin in the blood is very low, hemoglobin is the ion that binds oxygen, that's just like a transport that carries oxygen on its back all over the body and all the nutrients as well into all the tissues. So if there is less hemoglobin in the body, then that means the less oxygen will bind, and the bodies also will not have enough oxygen to function. So in that case, if there is no enough oxygen into the brain, so epilepsy can occur as a sort of that as well. Then a brain tumor, if there's a tumor in the brain or there's a cyst in the brain anywhere, that could prone someone to epilepsy attack as well, or dementia or Alzheimer's disease. That's normally like our elderly people normally suffered. In this case, they start forgetting things. They start having memory problems. They couldn't remember the name of their children. They could not even recognize the children when they see them. So that is Alzheimer's disease, and that can prone someone to have epileptic fit as well. Maternal drug use, prenatal injury, brain malfunction or lack of oxygen. Lack of oxygen at birth can cause someone to continue to have epileptic fit as well. Mothers using drugs during pregnancy and all this sort of lifestyle, alcohol during pregnancy, a child can be prone to can be a victim of epileptic attack in future if those things happen there. Then genetic and developmental disorders or neurological disease, all these things can predispose someone to having a epilepsy attack. Genetic may also make some people more susceptible to seizure from environmental triggers. So epilepsy, like I said, can develop at any age. Diagnosis usually occur in the early childhood or after the age of 60. So how is epilepsy diagnosed? Epilepsy cannot actually be diagnosed. Like I said, epilepsy can be diagnosed in the sense that if the attack become recurrent, that is become frequent, someone cannot just have epilepsy attack once or seizure once and the doctor just conclude that the person have got epilepsy. It has to be recurrent before such diagnosis can take place. So how is epilepsy treated? There are different ways that epilepsy could be treated. Number one, that people use medication to treat epilepsy. There are some of these medications, sodium or whatever, sodium or sodium valproate can be used to treat pain. Carbamazepine is another medication that can be used to treat epilepsy. All these medications, they have a inhibitory effect on their target cells. When you take the medication, they just arrest. The response are excited, so this medication just help to arrest. Sometimes surgery could help to solve this epilepsy problem. some surgery could be done, some part of the brain that have been affected. In the brain, a surgery could be conducted to cut such area or to isolate such area part of the brain. Another one is that a metal could be fixed in part of the brain to control the activity of the electrical activity in the brain. Sometimes the metal could be even started behind the hair. It is done that way. And again, diet. There's some diet supplements, treatment like a ketonic diet and low in carbohydrate diet. So it has been tested. People believe that this could help to reduce the level of the frequency of epilepsy. So the medication that are used to treat epilepsy, like I've mentioned before, you have topiramate. And another thing I want to talk about is that there is a superstition in Africa that they believe that epilepsy is caused by a lizard, caused by this thing. This superstition is killing our people. A situation whereby that is purely medical, that we could have looked for solution to them. We'll be reading different ways, different means, different meanings to them. You can share cup. You can share cup, you can share spoon with someone that have got epilepsy. It is not transferable. You cannot, it is not contagious. You cannot catch epilepsy from someone. That is totally impossible. So anybody that is suffering epilepsy, you need to show them love. Come closer to them, hug them, pat them in the back, let them know that they are not alone. Because it's a very tough journey. The stigma is even big enough. But when you make the sufferer feel comfortable, they will be able to, that will improve the quality of their life. They will be able to come to terms with the situation. But when somebody is suffering from epilepsy, nobody wants to share cup with them, nobody wants to share spoon with them, nobody wants to be their friends, nobody can even give them a hug afterwards. So it just makes the situation look worse. It makes the situation look so bad. So that is why we have to try as much as possible to make sure that we understand the health issues from the perspective of the medical avenue. So things that are purely medical, we just take them out of control. We have for this belief that keep Africa in poverty, like pants can talk to money, human blood can talk to money, and all these things that keep people in poverty. This encourage criminals to kill people for this show because they believe that human being can turn to money. Human being cannot turn to money. It's a fallacy. You look at the herbalist that is promising you that he will do money ritual for you. He himself is living in squalor. He's living in poverty. You can't give what you don't have. Someone that is living in poverty is telling you that you make you rich. Why can't he make himself rich? He can even make his family rich or friends so that they can come back to give him money and compensate him. All this supervision, it affects our health as well. Mental illness is juju, cancer is juju, epilepsy is juju, and this is affecting the way we treat them and the way we react to them. So we need to understand why this thing happened, and that's one of the importance of this topic. That's why I'm doing this, in order to reduce the level of ignorance among our people, for people to know what is going on out there and understand how it works. So I've come to the end of this topic now. Thanks for listening. By the grace of God Almighty, maybe next week I will do a follow-up to the mental health topic that I've done in the past. But if there is any topic you want me to do, you want me to talk about, please feel free to send them in advance. I will treat them. Maybe the next program, a medical doctor friend of mine might be coming on the program. So he gave me a call yesterday that is, he loves what I'm doing and I would like to be part of it so that we can sit down together and answer your questions and make the program more interesting. You can see now that it's getting better because I'm still a bit nervous in front of camera. I wasn't born with it. I'm more interested in the message I'm passing on across to you guys than the image and things. Although everything will keep improving. Thank you very much.